Okay, here we go. This is my newest segment of Marcus Look Ahead. People, I have a lot to talk to you about, and we are live. At least I hope so. If any of you are here and are able to hear me, please let me know here in the chat. Anyway, so what I'd like to do here is just wait a moment and see if we can get some people involved in this. At least I hope. Hey, how we doing? Fantastic. Okay, good. I'm still getting the hang of this thing. I hope it's working. It looks like it is. Anyway, people, I want to cover a bunch of things with you as usual. I want to look back. I want to look forward. So that's exactly what we're going to do here. As most of you already know, at least I hope so, I'm going to start doing all of these things live. So what I'd like you to think about is towards the end, I'm going to take some questions and I'm going to answer you directly if I can here. So think about what you might want to ask. And like I said, I'm going to keep this thing going this way. All right, everybody. Looks like we're getting a bunch of people in here. I love this. All right. So here's the situation. And if you notice the title here of this particular live stream I'm doing, and this is no secret to you or to anyone that is following my work, and it's getting progressively worse here. We are clearly in some kind of we're in a multiple crisis mode. But again, if you pay attention to the mainstream propaganda, nonsense, fake news, everything is fine. We're beautiful and perfect, and we're all prospering. Well, we got some interesting information here over the weekend, and this plays right into what you and I already know. And this is very troubling to me, honestly. So think about what I'm about to tell you, and I want to hear from you. If you fall in this category, I want to help you maybe turn this around. So it appears that one in every three American families cannot survive today without taking on more debt. I mean, that's the mechanism here. It should be pretty obvious. I don't know about you, but I freaking hate that. The thought of people, I mean, and you can see this with regard to people's debt loads. Credit card, uh, you know, credit card debt is skyrocketing. It's out of control, and it's got nowhere to go but higher. And the mechanism. You know what they're doing here. They're deliberately, giving people more credit or giving them more credit lines, bigger credit line, and they know people are going to go run out and max out their credit cards here. And so this is a pretty terrible, in my view, piece of information here to find out that one in three American families cannot survive without taking on more debt. But again, what is going on here? We have a situation that, look, you and I, we are like light years ahead of the curve, obviously. And we know the mechanism here. It can't stop. It won't stop. And debt is going to be exponentially piled on here. And it's pushing the central banks of the world, who are the freaking government of the freaking world, are pushing people faster and harder off of an economic cliff. So not only are we dealing with an environment of surging inflation with no end in sight, you know this here, okay? All the lies and it's temporary and it's transitory. And how many times do we hear it's peaking, peaking, peaking? Yeah, exactly. We need a freaking revolution here. We need a revolution, against central banks who are the actual government. Okay, truly, that's what we need. Thank you. Anyway, look, the only way that you and I are going to make this happen is if we get more people on board. And that's where all of you come in, getting this work out there, sharing this stuff, try to get more people on board. Because, I mean, look, you got to be deaf, dumb, and freaking blind to not see what's happening here, what they are doing, all the lies, the distractions, the misinformation, the propaganda. It's just out of control. It's absolutely freaking out of control. And if you believe for a nanosecond that any of this is going to change anytime soon, I mean, it's just not. So this is pretty astounding to me. And I think this is going to get a lot worse. If we now have, you and I, if we now know that, and I mean, this is no secret, obviously, that one in three American families cannot survive with taking on more debt. As a matter of fact, the entire The entire system itself cannot survive, not even a freaking minute, without taking on more debt. Henceforth, why we keep hitting debt limit ceilings, and we got to keep inflating the debt and expanding the debt. That's the mechanism here. You all know that. But anyway, on a macro scale, we have a global situation where global debt must be inflated exponentially. And that plays out exactly true for the individual citizens themselves. And this is all deliberate. This is central banks who are hell bent on again fulfilling their end game, their goal to be the lenders and buyers of last resort. They're going to buy it all. You know that. And they want to, look, like this whole nonsensical thing with the debt ceiling, okay? And we have Janet It Thing Yellenstein. We're gonna it's gonna lead to see they hang the fear card in front of everyone's face. If we don't borrow more immediately, it's just done. You understand? And this fear card is going to continue to be played. Thanks, everybody. Like to an extreme level, like you can't even believe. Honestly, and let's talk more about that too before we go back to this freak show stock market. So I want to cover this too. So we got I don't know how many of you watch Bloomberg. I watch Bloomberg a lot. And so they floated out the freak here, Albert Bourla, the CEO of Pfizer. This man, his salary is over $24 million a year. Now, this thing gets floated out here on national television, international television, to tell people, and they're really trying to push this on developing nations here, how they all need this. I'm not going to say the word because they'll get caught up in some kind of algorithm. Now, this, to me, okay, look, people used to have, well, maybe some kind of free choice mechanism. That's gone anymore. How many of you personally have lost your jobs, or are being threatened to lose your jobs if you don't get this? You know what I'm saying? It's a terrible thing. But this guy, the CEO, Albert Bourla of Pfizer, he's getting floated out here to talk about expanding the scope of availability to their product. This is the same as if, let's say, the CEO of some, I don't know, let's say a cigarette company is telling everyone, oh, we're going to make cigarettes more available to everyone, even if they're 5 years old, and they all better start smoking. I mean, look, this is the freak show. That's part of the game here. And I think you're all well aware of this here. It's like living in a freaking insane asylum, honestly. Here's something else I wanted to touch on. This was also on Bloomberg this morning, and maybe some of you caught this. They had Brian Moynihan out here. He's another thing from Bank of America. Now, why they have to ask the CEO of a Wall Street bank about immigration is a whole, it takes on a whole new level here. But this is something that he floated out here that I think you and I need to ponder, and I want to hear from you on this. So this guy, when he was asked about, does the United States have an immigration problem? Well, he kind of chuckled and he laughed. He's like, no, it's not about an immigration issue. In other words, it's not about the population in the United States being grossly expanded on. And we know what's behind this. This is to create a slave nation, a slave system, more people dependent on it. But he's saying it's a capacity problem. So let's analyze what this guy said real quick. Okay. So it's not a problem of people coming in to any nation around the world. Specifically, he's talking about the United States. He's saying a capacity problem. Now, if you notice, he's replacing the word resource here with capacity. Obviously, you and I know this already. We are marching straight into the biggest issue on the face of the planet Earth with regard to availability of resources. And that's really what this whole debt hyperbubble comes down to. Debt hyperbubble bursting is going to create a situation here where resources have become extremely scarce. What do they want to do to us? What do they want to do to us? I think you and I already know. They want to starve us to death, and they want us to thirst to death. Okay. What better way, you tell me, and I'll read the comments here, to control the population than forcing them to starve, face a resource problem, and thirst. I can't imagine another one that could be bigger. And look, this entire environment, as you and I already are well aware, is about functioning, going from crisis to crisis to crisis to crisis. You understand? I think you pretty much do. And that's it's the it's the crisis to crisis mechanism right now that's keeping this whole thing afloat. And each individual crisis that they want to throw at us is going to require more cash to be borrowed into existence from central banks who are running the entire freaking world. Pretty are we pretty clear on that? I think we are. Um, so anyway, let's you know what? Let's touch on this real quick. I was just writing stuff down here. I have covered recently, and as I'm talking about this, I want you to think of some questions you want to ask me towards the end, okay? Because I want to go over that with you real quick. I sincerely believe, and I want to hear from you on this as well, okay? This is not just, I don't want to come out here and just blah, 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 open up my freaking pie hole, all right? And things just come flying out of it. I want us all to participate in this, and this is another reason why I want to do these live things. I believe, and we're seeing this right before our eyes, okay? This is not something I'm just conjuring up out of thin air, that central banks are in a race to the bottom. I've been covering this for years. In a collective race to the bottom to kill their currencies. Pretty obvious, right? Thanks, Frank. Anyway, so what does this mean moving forward? If we realize, you and I, that the mechanism here is to continue to inflate. Okay, I don't give a damn what you might be able to see on any central bank's public balance sheet. It's fake. It's another distraction mechanism. You and I and everybody else on this freaking planet, for the most part, is not allowed to see any central bank's off balance sheet operations. We're just not allowed to see. And it's an interesting thing. Like when we talk about how much cash we need to pull into the now to fund wars and send another $250 billion weapons package over to Ukraine or wherever it might be, okay, to fund this, that, or the other. Where does this cash come from? Why is this not a topic? And I want to hear from you. Why is it that not a single one of our loving, caring, brain dead representatives never, ever, ever brings this up at some kind of a congressional committee where they pull the Federal Reserve chairman and the freak show, before that committee? They never addressed this issue, never. Why do they not tell the American people, or the people of the world for that matter, where this cash comes from? Because it's pretty freaking obvious to Greg Mannarino. Should be pretty freaking obvious to you. Hey, you see this? Just real quick. Fitbit. I bought this yesterday. I'm trying to get used to the darn thing. Just real quick, we'll go back to that in a minute. If you look at my old videos, I was a chunker. I was about 50 pounds heavier. I went on this ketogenic diet, best thing I ever did in my history of my life. I limit my carbs to like around 25 to 30 per day. There's no such thing as an essential carb, right? You have essential fats and essential proteins and everything else, but there's no such thing as essential carbs. I cut out carbs and my weight came off me like there was no tomorrow. I went through the whole keto flu, which is real. You feel like you're sick, and then all of a sudden your energy level goes to the roof. Any of you out here, I'm just throwing this out as a side thing, okay? Want to change your life, and honestly, start a keto diet. It really does work. Anyway, where was I? Talking about the freak show and the central banks and what they're doing here. Look, none of this is new to all of you. You all get the situation here. But again, moving forward, you can imagine there's going to be a lot more reasons that are just made up from nothing, okay, to pull more cash into the now. And where does it come from? Directly out of the central banks, who are more than willing to lend. Why? It's fulfilling their end game to be the lender and buyers of last resort. People, with regard to this market, let's go over here. You've been watching commodity prices, gold and silver. I mean, look, I've been pushing this a lot lately. I really feel like in a full meltdown situation, which we're marching towards. Okay. Yes, this stock market has done phenomenal since the beginning of the month. And you know what they say? as January goes, so goes the rest of the year with regard to this freak show stock market. Okay, lovely and fantastic. Okay, there's no connection here at all whatsoever between what the stock market does and what the economy is doing. We have an economy globally in free fall, manufacturing activity falling. We're in a factory recession, a manufacturing recession. That's what they're saying. And that's not Greg Mannarino. Look it up for yourself. Okay, this is not going to stop either. And the fact again that 1 in 3 American citizens, 1 in 3 American families cannot survive with taking on more debt. That should tell you something. Is this a surprise to you? Show of hands. I can still see you. No, it's not a surprise to anybody. It's not going to stop. Anyway, with regard to commodities, people, I'm gonna talk about more of this moving forward. A lot. Commodities are the place to be. These are real things. You understand? And that's why I believe in real things. I really do. Huh. I didn't mean for that to go together, but it just did. And real things are like silver and like silver and gold and crude oil, energy. With regard to this drop, a lot of you have been asking me about natural gas prices here lately. It's been pretty incredible. What drives this market? Two things: fear and greed. And a lot of it is when people are, let's say, for example, you're an investor, you're a trader, you're putting cash into a commodity or like natural gas, for example, and you're leveraging yourself. You're borrowing on a margin, okay? And all of a sudden you get a peak in whatever the price action might be, and you get a precipitous drop. A lot of this is margin calls. A lot of people are fearing that they can lose more than they've invested. So with regard to natural gas, and I'm just going to cover this because I do read my comments. Believe me, I read all the comments. I go through them every day. I look at the comments here. With regard to natural gas, look, I'm not telling people to buy anything. I've got myself in trouble. I'm kind of on the SEC target here. It may not be a bad idea, okay, to start looking at natural gas and maybe put some cash to work in natural gas. Also, like I said, commodities across the board. In my free newsletter, it's literally free, and I do not share any of your information. I swear to you on anything you want me to swear on. All right. I send out these things. I put out a couple of lists recently of exchange traded funds that track commodities. These are the places we need to be. You understand? In my view, moving forward, debt market meltdown, putting pressure on the stock market. This is going to happen at one point. Right now, the debt market, the illusion of stability is still here, people. The illusion of stability is here. That illusion is nothing but an illusion here. It's central banks getting in here and buying more, and they must buy more exponentially to keep that illusion, to keep the 10-year yield stable. And like I've been telling you, you got 3 components here to push the stock market higher, regardless of what happens to the freak show economy that's in free fall. Should make sense to you. Are you ready? We need bond yields to cooperate. We need the illusion of stability here in the debt market. We need a weaker dollar on a relative strength basis, and we need crude oil to play. Crude oil, are you going to play with us? Yeah, it's been playing a lot lately. So these are the things we need to see this market move higher, regardless of anything else. Because central banks are buying it all. They're still buying it all. And this illusion of the market really plays on the minds of men and women. If they see a higher stock market, why do you think, for example, you turn on Bloomberg, Fox Business, CNBC, and they want you to focus on the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which is just 30 freaking companies. 30 companies. That's all they want you to look at. They don't want you to look at the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ. It's all about the Dow. Because it's a distraction mechanism. If they can keep the Dow propped up, okay, well, then people think everything is just fine. That's the way it is. But you and I know way better than that. You understand? Excuse me. All right, look, I think I covered a hell of a lot with you. This is a really long video. So what I want to do, shoot me a few questions here, and let's see if we can cover that real quick here. Let me see. Questions here. Sushi, yeah, invest in sushi. Absolutely. Absolutely. Look, this whole thing is a racket. Just this, nothing is what it seems to be. It's the most twisted freak show in the history of the world. Dash, absolutely. Long-term hold, people. I told you this since day one. The volatility in cryptocurrencies is pretty much off the freaking charts. Always since day one. Always since day one. Massive swings in the price action of cryptocurrencies. Do I personally believe, okay, and this is a big question I get all the time, that Wall Street doesn't have its ugly hands on everything, including cryptos, and they're involved here in rigging the price action. What did I tell you? When Wall Street got their hands on Bitcoin futures, I told you it was over. The reason why let me just clarify this real quick. The reason why Greg Mannarino likes the idea of a non-central bank issued mode of transaction is because it sidesteps their system. Their system is designed to destroy all of us, and it is roping people in tighter and tighter. Henceforth, 1 in 3 American families cannot survive without taking on more debt. People, what else is there to say? Anyway, it's so out of control. It really, really is. Anyway, what can I tell you, people? S&P 500. Yes, the broader market. Keep your eyes on the S&P 500. Look at the NASDAQ as of late. You got this on Friday with regard to the NASDAQ. There was almost like panic freaking buying here with regard to tech. What's going on here? I love this, how I'm getting these questions here. It engages my brain a little bit. Anyway, with regard to this market, okay, as we know, there is no connection between the economy and greed. Okay, this market is driven by 2 things: fear and greed. Greed drives people to maybe engage in things that they really shouldn't be engaging in. And subsequently, that eventually turns into fear, and fear is stronger. This is why markets, for example, drop like a rock. They drop faster than they gain. That's fear and greed, and fear being stronger. Right now, if you were to look at fear and greed in the market, there's greed here, but momentum is kind of mostly neutral. Although this market has put on some nice gains since the beginning of this month. And of course, I will keep all of you on top of all this, people. Honestly, raise chicken and sell eggs. People, look, I love this stuff. We all need to have the high ground. Greg Mannarino, I love talking about myself in the third person. I have no idea why. I'm kind of a freak that way. We all need to keep the high ground, meaning we have to prepare for a worst case scenario all the time. In every aspect of life, you have to kind of think ahead a little bit. Okay, if I do this or I don't do something, what is the most likely outcome? What do I do? I look at this market and everything connected to it, the economy. I'm a macro guy. For most of you that follow my work, you know that I like to step back, look at the entire global situation, take in what's happening, and to the best of my ability, come up with what I believe is the most likely scenario. What's most likely going to unfold out here? Now, as you all know, this is a game. First of all, it literally is a game. And it's a game of incomplete information, meaning you, me, anybody. We could sit back and analyze everything that's going on at any particular time. Then all of a sudden, this happens. All of a sudden, that happens. And it creates another equation here, or another dynamic that we have to ponder. And that can change things, obviously. But what's not going to change? Look, all of this here is all well and good and lovely, and I like to focus on it. But we need to understand that there is no way, at least in Greg Mannarino's view, and I want to hear from you too, that this issue of global debt is going to stop. And it can't stop because it's the nature of the beast. If we understand clearly that global debt must inflate just in order for the system to function, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? You want to take the opposite side of that trade. Now, where does that put us? That puts us right back into commodities, the most 2 undervalued in the history of the world, in my opinion, gold and silver. Silver being, in my opinion, the most undervalued asset on the planet. I've been telling you that since day one. Look at the Dow gold ratio, gold silver ratio, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. Anyway, living off the grid, it'd be nice. A lot of us can't do that, but that's the truth. Anyway, thanks again, people. As above, so below. Interesting. Yeah, it kind of is, isn't it? All right, people. Look, pretty much that's where we stand. Long video today. I got to interact with you, and I'm going to do this every time. Like tomorrow morning when I do my pre-market report, it's going to be live. Post-market live. I like this because I can interact with all of you. And I think that's important. I want to, like I said, look, I don't want to come out here and blab about this nonsensical thing or that thing too. I want this blog to be something of value to all of you. I want you to and I want you to share it. I want you to get this stuff out there. And I can't think of a better way to do that than get interacting with all of us here. All right. People, this guy here loves you a lot. You know, I forgot to say on Friday, and I'm gonna say it now. What do I leave you off with every Friday except for last because it was my first live stream in a while. Love each other, care about each other, be charitable. You and me, people, we're our greatest resource. We really, really are. We have to embrace that. If we could share that with the world, just those three things, we can change this freaking world. Okay. And it's got to start with someone. It might as well be you and me. You know what I'm saying? All right, look. Again, love you a lot. I love the comments here. Please share this stuff. Get it out there. I'll see all of you in the morning, and I'm looking forward to that. And we'll do this. And think again about what else you might want to ask me. Like I said, I can't sit here and cover every freaking thing, but I'm going to try to get through a lot of this with you. And I want to thank all of you because, like I said, this is not my thing for your ideas here. And with questions, it helps me think too. And by working together, you know, we're going to make everything better for everybody. And that's really what I'm all about. I want to change the world in a positive way. I want all of us here to change the world in a positive way. Think about one thing that you can do to make a positive difference in the world, even if you do it just once a week. You know what I mean? Like 52 freaking times a year. I don't know, whatever. Look, I could go on and on, but I'm going to get going here. Emanon, exactly, freaking Emanon. I'll see you all in the morning. I really got to go. It's getting so long, but I enjoyed this, and I hope you too. And well, that's all.